All right, there's 5 D points of us against UCLA on the YouTube, so we're going to go through those 5 here. Here's the first one. We're going to get beat up line right off the bat, so that's just getting down on the pole harder. The next thing to look at will be Levi here. So Levi's getting circle cut. If we can back up, so his person is doing a circle cut. I don't think we saw too many of these throughout the weekend, but I know that Carlton loves this. So just get a person in the middle of the field, let them run in a circle all by themselves. I think Levi does really well here. He even gets a challenge in at the end. He takes the inside lane, so Levi's person is running here, and then Levi's going to get into them on the inside lane like that, and Levi gets a good challenge in. So I think that's a good example of defense from Levi. The next thing I like to look at is Jedi here. So he's all over this person inside their personal space. You can see a hand on the hip. Jedi's doing a really good job. The other thing about this hand on the hip is that Jedi's looking at the disc here, and he's using the hand on the hip to know where his person is. So as Jedi's eyes goes to the disc, hand goes to the person so that he doesn't lose track of the person. That's really good. Love this breakdown by Jedi. Love this turn. I think that's really good pressure. Jedi takes the outside shoulder here. I think this is really good pressure from Jedi. If we go back, Wyatt does really well on this upline here. So you can see Wyatt's got his butt down. His legs are very active. He's low. He's playing athletic defense. He's staying on top of his person, and he's forcing them into the phone booth. That's textbook. That's what I want out of upline defense. We're going to see a broken mark here. The next thing to watch is going to be Paul. So I think Paul does pretty well. He gets some good pressure on. As he comes through, Paul is taking the inside lane, so his person is going to be kind of cutting like this, and then Paul's going to jump for the inside lane, which I think is good. I think taking the inside lane is good. But this thrower recognizes what happens, so they are going to throw the ball out to here. So if a smart thrower recognizes you taking the inside lane, they will always just lay it out into space like this, because as the defender is coming, the offensive player just takes a step and then boxes the defense out, puts their foot in the ground and boxes the defense out towards the disc. So smart throwers can kind of throw you open when the defender takes the inside lane just by laying the ball out over here. And I think that's what we end up seeing. Jedi's going to do really, really well here. And you're going to see the difference between Jedi and Paul is that Jedi takes the outside shoulder. I like taking the inside shoulder, so I'm not ragging on taking the inside shoulder, but Jedi takes the outside shoulder here. And the effect is, so Jedi's the green arrow, boom. The effect is that the throw now has to be really tight, right? This ends up becoming a tighter throwing window. This player can't just lay the ball off into space over here and let his person box out. He has to kind of throw this tighter window here. And because of the tightness of that window, we get a mistake out of UCLA. So I would say that's good. Good defense from Jedi. I think this is a bit of a missed opportunity. I think Bass should be putting this ball up. I think there's a lot of space over here. We could have had Bass just chuck it over there and let Paul go get it. So I'm disappointed this doesn't come out of Bass's hand. I think Paul is open. I think there's a lot of space between Paul and the defender, and I think Bass has this throw. And then we are going to see a beautiful thing out of Nate. So Nate is going to do a horizontal move across the field, and then he's going to bust it deep, and he's going to get open, and he's going to have a good matchup on him. So as we watch that happen, he breaks it deep, and we got a really good matchup. I love throwing to this matchup. I just hate the execution of this throw. So I think AG just has to do a little better. Then here, this is just going to turn into a foot race. I think AG does really well keeping this space. He closes down, so notice how AG keeps his head on his person. So there's a space here, right? AG's got his head on his person until he closes the space down. And once he gets the hip, then you see the head turn, right? So if we go back and watch that again, eye on your person, get into their hip, get into their body, and now find the disc. I think that's good from AG, and then we just foul them. I think that's a good no contest out of AG, but I also think it's good deep defense from AG. Getting into the body and then finding the disc while you have a touch on, I think is smart defense. And then we're going to get scored on. I think Levi does fine. I think this ball is a little bit risky off to the sideline. It's hard to see how close it is, but I think overall there's a lot of good things in this point, a lot of good defense, and I think our offense is even pretty good too. Just a missed execution on a throwing opportunity. Here's D point number 2 against UCLA. We're going to run our 3-3-1 here. I don't love throwing 3-3-1 against UCLA. I think they're a pretty patient team. They're also a pretty smart team. I like throwing zones against jockey teams. These are the kind of kids that like read books for fun. So they're very patient. They're very smart. And they do a really good job attacking our zone. They combine crashes with kind of touches to the dead space, and they're just willing to wait a long time, and they're just willing to throw a lot of passes. So I didn't love running the 3-3-1. I'm happy that we tried it, but I think our person defense is better against this kind of team. We're seeing a bunch of crashes. We're seeing a lot of patience. We're doing pretty good right now, so we have them kind of stuck in that spot, but there's over the top, and then here's another over the top. And this is where we fire, and I think we break down really quickly. So we find our matchups very fast. I think we do a really good job. In this moment here, we were all on. So if we go back, we're at 111 now, and we're calling fire here. So it took us 6 seconds to find our matchups. And I think that's pretty good. I would say this is a smooth transition for us. Bass does really well here. You can see as Bass is getting his butt down, he's moving his legs, he's working really hard. He's going to cover this one really well, and he's able to stick this pop back pretty well, and then he just, too many moves, just loses it. But I think that's, in general, pretty good. And then Peter's going to do really well. As we watch Peter come out of this mark, right? So this happens really quick. But here, Peter's in the normal marking spot. As soon as the disc comes out of this kid's hand, Peter's just going to go get in the way of the upline. So this is a really good example of transitioning from mark to downfield defense. I think a lot of us have room to grow and improve at that, right? Get in the way of those throw and goes. Peter does a really good job. Just get in the way. Go step on the upline path and then force this little round, which is good. I think that's a good shutdown from Peter. As we watch Gunner, I think Gunner just kind of falls asleep here. You can see his legs are very upright. He's doing a little walk-in. This is the foot that his person's going to push off of. This right foot, he's going to push off and attack. And right now in this moment, Gunner's eyes are on the disc and he's standing. So it would be nice if Gunner was a little bit more like Theo here, just like butt down, ready to go, a little more active. So this was a very soft touch in my opinion. And then here I think Peter is just not able to get enough step on. It would be nice to find, let me see if I can draw this out. So here's the UCLA player's path. I think it would be great if we could find our way in to here and just really hustle, put our head down, get in the way there. But we're not able to close this space and it ends up being a goal. Here's a third D point that we play against UCLA. So right off the bat, I think you're going to see Wyatt do a good job covering this upline off the pole, which is good. And then you're going to see, this is the second time that I've seen UCLA run a little circle cut, and I don't think we saw a ton of circle cuts throughout Smoky, but I know that Carlton likes to use them, so we'll probably see them at regionals. So here Levi's person is running a circle cut. So they made their first move here. They're going to come back across and then they're going to finish. So they're just running a circle route on Levi. Levi does really well to defend this. We can back up to see the whole thing. So here's the start. Levi does really well to stay in the pocket the whole way. I think he does really well. This hip change is very smart by Levi, right? He's rotating over, getting onto this side. I think that's a good spot. And then here, I think Levi gets a good challenge, compressing the space. He does pretty well. The next thing to watch is Wyatt. So in this moment, we can see that Wyatt sets up his hips are facing this way, and his person is basically going to dig onto his back and then beat him on the upline. I think a good solution would have been for Wyatt to have his hips pointed this way instead of having his hips pointed that way, because this just allows his person to get onto his back and beat him for an upline. I think too soft of a touch here. We can watch Seabass. Seabass is doing a really good job of trying to see the whole field. I think Bass can see all 14 players right now, and he's looking for opportunities to help. And he does a really good job when his person makes a move of sticking that move really good. So I thought that was good from Bass. And then we can watch Levi with this upline here. So Levi's guy is attacking the upline. Levi's on top of them, right on their shoulder, right on their hip. You can see all the action in Levi's legs here. He's got his butt down. He's working really hard. I think Levi does extremely well to cover that. We're going to have a weird glitch in the tape. So somehow we go from here to here, and I don't know how. But right now UCLA is playing a little 3v3 through the front of their stack. They're trying to get into their end zone set, and I think we do extremely well. I think as we watch this one, Levi's person goes from throwing to cutting very fast, and Levi gets right here into the way of that upline. That's good. Good proactive defense out of Levi. I think we do pretty well. They're throwing a lot of passes. They're not getting a lot. We're making them work very hard, and they're not getting a whole lot out of it. This is where we get beat. I think Levi is good. I like that Levi is taking the inside lane. So Levi's coming on this path of his person, and his person's coming here. So Levi's taking the inside lane. I think that's good aggressive defense. I like when people take the inside lane. The danger is, so this is a very smart, very good thrower here. The danger on taking the inside lanes is that the thrower just puts you out to space, and then the offense can kind of turn it this way and box you out the whole way. And so Levi will then just be boxed out on this throw to space here. Bass does really well to recognize it. Again, Bass is doing a good job of seeing the whole field. Nate has got a hand on, right? So he can see the person, and his head is looking at the whole field. So using the hand to know where your person is, using your head to see the whole field. Bass reads this one, just can't get there. And then we're in the end zone set. I think we compete really well here. It's hard to see the front cone, so it's hard to tell what we're looking at, but Bass goes to cover the front cone. That leaves this person open. Jedi does well to challenge it, just not there. There's a call, so this one comes back. And we're going to see, I think, a really good upline defense out of AG in a second. So they're going to take this free dump here. So AG's person makes this move into the backfield. AG does a good job of not biting on this jab step or overcommitting. You can see like his butt is down, a lot of action in this left leg, a lot of action in this right leg. He got his hands on, right? Little soft touch here. Compress that space, right? Got a hands on. And then he guards this really, really well. Very physical, very in his personal space the whole way up. That's really good. And then same thing out of Levi. So here you can see a lot of action in Levi's legs. He's getting his butt down. He's getting low. You can see that all the bend in his legs here, and he's going to be in the hip on the shoulder the whole way through. That's great from Levi. They get the dump swing off. They just find an open person on the break side. So I think there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of good defense in this point, a lot of positives to take away from this. All right, here is the fourth D point that we have recorded. So UCLA is going to do a pretty simple action just to get themselves going. This person's going to drive deep. All game long, AG has been playing over the top. Don't get scored on, no easy buckets. So they're going to take advantage of that by just having this person slash across. And then this play is dangerous because two things could happen, right? This person could either keep going deep towards the end zone, or they could break it down and come back under. This is what they eventually choose, but it's a simple play, but a dangerous one. So we can see that here play out. I think Levi does pretty good, just too much separation at the end. I think it's pretty shocking that they don't put this up and throw for the goal, but that's kind of the scouting report that we had, so Wyatt's got that in his head and he's forcing the person out, which I think is good. We can watch PK here, so I think PK just kind of falls asleep, and right here his person makes a move. PK is very tall, his hips are not down, he's not ready to play defense. We can watch that again. I think there's a better... Right here, this person's dropping their hips, they got the knee drive, and PK is just completely standing up tall. This person's going to get on PK's back. That is a huge theme in my mind of how to get open in Frisbee, get on people's back, and good things happen. PK is going to get bailed out by a little body bump from Seabass, so smart play, Bass. I think we can all watch Nate here. Nate does really well to cover this from the front of the stack. Right on the hip, right on the shoulder. He's got a lane to he's got a layout lane, I think, on the inside path if he needs it, but he never needs it. He even takes a step and a look at it there. I think that's really good defense from Nate. As we watch PK come under here, so his person is making the break side move. Here's the path that his person's going to go, and then PK is going to try to challenge that break side, expecting a swing off into this place, and then his person's going to cut back on him and get open for an easy touch on the force side. So watch Nate here. I think, Nate does a good job. He's looking at the disc, right? He doesn't really know where his person is, but he's able to recover here very quickly, and I think he closes this down well, so that's good reaction from Nate. I think as we watch Levi next. So Levi, he gets his butt down, look at his legs, he's very active. He's in the shoulder, he's in the hip, he's compressing this space really well. I think Levi does a great job defending this upline. I'm noticing that Nate peels off to help Levi. I think a skill that, an element of peeling off to help people is recognizing when somebody needs help. So if I was looking at Levi here, I would not think to myself, wow, Levi needs help. So I'm not sure this is the greatest peel off to help. I think Levi's fine here. He doesn't need help. And it's going to lead to Nate's person will eventually get the easy touch over here. Levi is going to do really well to challenge this ball. We just don't get it. Levi's going to do really well to challenge this throw and go. So we can watch that again. We can watch Levi just hustle out of the throw and go. And then this is a broken mark to the break side. And then we're playing throw and go defense against them. I think Nate does really well to stop this throw and go here. So he's really hustling. So here's the throw, and Nate's in a bad spot right now. But in just a few steps, he hustles really hard, gets into the shoulder, gets into the hip, and covers this up line. His person's going to take advantage of it with a little stop. And then they're going to beat us to the up line. But I think Nate does really well here to cover the first move, and I think Nate does well to cover that second move. And we just get beat on the third move. Okay, here's the last D point that we have recorded against UCLA. So the first thing to point out is that this pole is extremely good. It's deep, it's in the end zone right now. You can see all 5 of the UCLA cutters, their heads are this way, right towards the end zone. So they're not aware of how deep this pole is, and it creates a disconnect between their handlers and their cutters. They get very deep in their initial structure. So to me, the value of a good pole is sometimes you can create this disconnect between an offense, take them a little bit out of their rhythm. They're going to break the mark here and advance the ball up. We can all watch Anthony play a pretty good defense on this upline. So Anthony will just step into the body, violate their personal space. Very physical upline defense here. I feel like we could get a little more energy from PK as we kind of jog into this ball. At this point, it looks like UCLA is kind of just running right through us. We're not getting a lot of pressure on the force side. If we go back, I think this UCLA player does something pretty interesting that a lot of our handlers could add to their bag. So he's going to take this line and get a hip on Ian, and he's basically going to body up Ian, and that'll create a free release into this upline space. So as we watch that play out here, we can see here's the UCLA player is creating this contact, getting a hip on, and basically boxing Ian out so that he has this free release to an easy touch. There's a broken mark. There's another broken mark. We finally get a pick call to slow him down and regroup. We can talk about our pick call a little bit. As we watch this one here, so this centering pass goes to Ian's person, and we can see Ian flash his mark across to kind of help AG out with this throw and go, and that's smart play by Ian. And what's really smart is that he doesn't stay in it for very long. So Ian's back now on the correct side, so forces backhand, and Ian's right now in the good spot. But we can see just how quickly Ian does this, right? So you're going to see really fast flash to that other side to help AG out, and then we're back home, and he's in the right spot. So that's great. Great active marking from Ian. We're going to see a really good inside lane challenge here from Anthony, taking the inside path. I love taking the inside path. If we're going to take it, I think, if you're going to lay out, I think the inside path is the way to go. That's a broken mark. And then Ian does extremely well here. It's kind of hard to see, but Ian's going to just be right in that pocket with this person, make this throwing window really small, and that's going to create an opportunity for a mistake, and we get a possession. I want everybody to watch AK's deep move here. And I'll slow this down a bit too so we can really see it. I love this little jump move from AK right here. Rewind so we can see it again. Little jump move stutter. I think that's a good move. I think it creates this, see how his person kind of backs off, creates a bit of separation. I think that's a good move out of AK. This is where Ian, I think, is feeling the stress of needing to win a game, so he's playing hero ball, which cuts off AK. AK could have had a really easy big touch, but Ian just gets in the way and camps out. Levi's able to get the wraparound to Ian, and then this is a very good throw from Ian to AG. This is, I think, my favorite thing that Ian does. We'll slow it down. So he's about to throw a low release backhand here to Seabass. I love that throw from Ian. I love when he does it. Bass does a good job, and we finish. So I would say not the greatest defense on the way down, but we're able to get the block in the end zone, and then some pretty good offense on the way back.